Hello guys, welcome to Biology Made Easy. My name is Miss Natasha and I'm going to take you through today's topic. So in today's session, we are going to look at respiration. So without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. Respiration is a series of chemical reactions which happen in all living cells. And during this series of chemical reactions, food is broken down to release energy. And food is usually broken down by combining it with oxygen. So every living cell needs this energy, and in humans this energy is needed for contracting muscles so that we can move parts of the body. It is also needed for making protein molecules by linking together amino acids into long chains. Energy is also needed for cell division so that we can grow and we can repair damaged tissues. Energy is also needed for active transport so that we can move substances across the cell membrane up their concentration gradients. Energy is also used for transmitting nerve impulses so that we can transfer information quickly from one part of the body to another. Energy is also used to produce heat inside the body. This is done in order to keep the body temperature constant even if the environment is cold. In general, respiration is the process whereby food is broken down in order to release energy. So the main nutrient used to provide energy in cells is glucose. It contains a lot of energy, so it is broken down during respiration to release energy. So there is anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. So during aerobic respiration, oxygen is used to break down nutrient molecules in order to release energy. And during anaerobic respiration, the nutrient molecules are broken down to release energy without using oxygen. So during aerobic respiration, oxygen is used. And during anaerobic respiration, we do not use oxygen. In aerobic respiration, oxygen is used to release energy from glucose, and during this process, carbon dioxide and water are also released. So most of the time, aerobic respiration occurs inside the mitochondria, which are small organelles that are found inside animal cells. So this is the word equation for aerobic respiration. Glucose and oxygen combine in order to release energy, and during this process, carbon dioxide and water are also released. So glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water and energy. So this is the chemical equation for aerobic respiration. It is also possible to release energy from glucose without using oxygen, and this is done via anaerobic respiration. And in anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not used. So basically, during anaerobic respiration, glucose molecules are broken down to release energy without using oxygen. So yeast cells and other organisms can respire anaerobically. So in yeast cells, glucose is broken down to produce alcohol and carbon dioxide. So this is the word equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast cells. Glucose is broken down to produce alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. And this is the chemical equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast cells. So during anaerobic respiration in humans, glucose is broken down to release energy and lactic acid. And during anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not used. Moving on, let's now compare anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. So during aerobic respiration, we use oxygen, and during anaerobic respiration, we do not use oxygen. During anaerobic respiration, alcohol and lactic acid are produced. Alcohol is produced in yeast cells and plants, and lactic acid is produced in animals. But during aerobic respiration, no lactic acid or alcohol is made. During anaerobic respiration, much less energy is released when each molecule of glucose is broken down. But during aerobic respiration, a large amount of energy is released from each molecule of glucose. During anaerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is made by yeast cells and plants, but it is not made by animals. During aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is made. So during aerobic respiration, we use oxygen, no alcohol or lactic acid is made, a large amount of energy is released from each molecule of glucose, and carbon dioxide is made. During anaerobic respiration, we do not use oxygen. Alcohol is made in yeast cells and in plants, and lactic acid is made in animals. During anaerobic respiration, much less energy is released from each molecule of glucose, and carbon dioxide is made by yeast cells and plants. All the cells in the body need oxygen for respiration, and this oxygen is supplied by the lungs. When you run or when you exercise, you use a lot of energy. This means that a lot of oxygen has to be supplied to the muscles in order to release the energy for all the work. In turn, your breathing rate and your heart rate increases. This means that you breathe in deeper and faster and your heart beats faster. This happens in order to get more oxygen to the muscles as quickly as possible. Eventually, you reach a limit where the heart and the lungs can no longer supply oxygen to the muscles any faster. But at the same time, more energy is still needed for the activity. So extra energy can be produced by anaerobic respiration. So during anaerobic respiration, we do not use oxygen. So glucose is basically broken down to release energy. And during that process, lactic acid is also produced. So during anaerobic respiration, glucose is broken down to release lactic acid and energy. When energy is produced during anaerobic respiration, lactic acid is produced. So lactic acid builds up in the muscles and in the blood, and this leads to fatigue. So the lactic acid must be removed, and it is usually removed by aerobic respiration in the liver. So even when you stop exercising, you continue breathing faster and more deeply, and the heart rate remains high. This is because extra oxygen is needed to break down the lactic acid. So the increase in heart rate also helps to transport the lactic acid as quickly as possible from the muscles to the liver. When exercising or running, first you respire aerobically, and then an oxygen debt is built up. The oxygen debt builds up due to the accumulation of lactic acid during anaerobic respiration in order to supply more energy when the limit for aerobic respiration is reached. So extra oxygen is needed to pay off the debt or to break down the lactic acid. So first, when you are running, you respire aerobically, you break down glucose using oxygen. But then a limit is reached when you can't supply the oxygen faster than before. And during this time, you respire anaerobically. And during anaerobic respiration, glucose is just broken down to release energy. And during anaerobic respiration, lactic acid is produced, and the lactic acid builds up in the muscles and in the blood. So, in order to get rid of the lactic acid, it has to be broken down using oxygen. Extra oxygen is needed to pay off the debt or to break down the lactic acid. So even after you have finished running or exercising, you continue to breathe faster until all the lactic acid has been broken down. So we have come to the end of our session. Thank you guys for staying tuned until the end.